The job in front of us was unlike anything most people would ever witness. Our mission was to transport a giant generator stator worth tens of millions of yuan, weighing nearly 370 tons, to Zhongjiang in Sichuan, the hometown of heroes. The entire transport convoy stretched almost 96 meters long, with a total weight of 635 tons. This was not simply a delivery. It was a moving steel fortress crossing cities, mountains, highways, and narrow industrial roads. Today, I'll take you through the complete journey of this colossal machine, from the factory floor all the way to final installation. The first step of the mission began at the factory. Using a triple-row hydraulic transport trailer, we headed toward the production site to load the equipment. Along the heavy haul road in Deyang, massive workshops belonging to the Dongfang Electric Corporation could be seen everywhere. The generator stator we were transporting came from its subsidiary, Dongfang Electric Machinery. Inside the workshop, giant components were being manufactured with astonishing precision. One rotating structure, called the spiral case seat ring, is among the largest pressure-bearing parts used in hydroelectric units. Huge vertical lathes towered above the workers operating them. Some machines were over 16 meters high, larger than any industrial equipment I had ever seen in person. Nearby, another enormous machine was machining the rotor shaft, one of the key components connected to the generator stator we would soon transport. Electricity generation sounds simple when explained on paper. Burn coal or gas, heat water, create steam, spin turbines, and convert energy through the rotor and stator. But seeing the actual scale of these components changes everything. These were not ordinary machine parts. They were industrial giants. Once the stator completed final factory procedures and was loaded onto the transport platform, responsibility shifted to us. The escort operation officially began. As the convoy entered urban roads, 2 escort vehicles positioned themselves behind the transport trailer, controlling surrounding traffic and creating safe turning space. Every lane change, every intersection, and every curve required coordination. Even a tiny mistake could become catastrophic when moving hundreds of tons through a city. We carefully squeezed through Deyang's downtown streets during off-peak hours. After leaving the city, traffic became much lighter along the heavy haul route. But before beginning the long-distance journey, we still had one major task ahead: vehicle conversion. The load distribution on the current transport trailer was too concentrated for certain road conditions. To reduce pressure on the pavement, we needed to transfer the stator onto a much larger bridge-type transport system with more wheels and a longer span. This transfer operation required hundreds of tools and extreme patience. Workers unloaded timber blocks, steel rails, hydraulic push rods, jacks, and support beams one by one. Wooden platforms were carefully built, layer by layer. Measurements were taken repeatedly to align the movement path. Hydraulic operators manually adjusted the wheel steering angles millimeter by millimeter until the transport platform matched the rail direction perfectly. Once aligned, steel rails were inserted beneath the stator, using hydraulic jacks to lift the massive load. Support plates and clamps were installed at all 4 corners. Hydraulic pushing cylinders were connected to the rails, and finally, the transfer began. The entire pushing process lasted between 20 and 40 minutes. Ironically, this was often the easiest moment for the workers, because once everything started moving smoothly, all they could do was watch carefully and hope nothing went wrong. After the stator was transferred successfully, the equipment was disassembled and loaded again. Then came the final lowering process. Using hydraulic jacks repeatedly, workers removed wooden blocks layer by layer until the stator finally rested securely on the bridge beams. This entire operation alone usually takes more than a full day. Before departure, The bridge-type transport vehicle still needed final assembly. Two enormous main beams would lift the load like a sedan chair carrying a king. Cranes worked together with incredible precision to connect the giant beam sections. Unlike assembling toy blocks, every adjustment required multiple corrections. Even a few millimeters of misalignment could prevent the sections from locking together. After hours of work, the frame capable of carrying 450 tons was finally complete. Mechanics and hydraulic technicians performed system checks, while the tractor drivers prepared for departure. I originally worked as an escort vehicle driver, but now I also handle filming and documenting these operations. This time, I brought 3 action cameras to capture multiple angles, though honestly, it still didn't feel like enough. Every departure feels like the beginning of an expedition. Teams from different departments gather together with one shared objective. In some ways, it resembles a battle. The lead tractor for this mission was a newly purchased 4863 unit, making its debut appearance. The second and third tractors were older veterans from previous transport seasons. Once traffic police cleared the route, the convoy finally rolled forward. The first intersections required manual steering control. The driver carefully guided the trailer through tight corners before switching to automatic follow steering mode. The steering linkage system allowed the hydraulic wheel groups to follow the tractor's movement automatically during turns. Although Zhongjiang is only around 30 kilometers from Deyang in a straight line, the actual driving route approached 100 kilometers because of road limitations and bridge clearances. Still, if everything went smoothly, we could arrive before nightfall. Escort vehicles became critically important at busy intersections. Their job was not only to warn traffic ahead, but also to ensure they never blocked the transport vehicle itself. Timing and positioning had to be perfect. As we entered older Chengqiu areas, traffic conditions became much more chaotic. Some impatient drivers tried to rush through intersections before us, unaware that several vehicles attempting the same thing simultaneously could trap the convoy in gridlock. Fortunately, wider roads near Chengdu improved the pace considerably. Eventually, we approached the mountain section near Jintang. Ahead lay nearly 10 kilometers of steep uphill climbing. Even with multiple tractor units pulling together, our speed sometimes dropped below 5 kilometers per hour. On the long downhill section afterward, things became even more dangerous. A 600-ton convoy gaining too much speed could overwhelm the braking system completely. Finally, after crossing the last major bridge, we arrived near the power plant. But the work was far from over. The stator still needed another transfer operation. The long bridge transport system had to be replaced with a shorter platform, capable of navigating the narrow plant roads. Once again, workers unloaded rails, support blocks, hydraulic systems, and transfer equipment. We spent nearly 2 full days completing the final 40 meters of movement inside the facility. At the very end, the stator was lifted onto a giant steel frame and slowly guided along overhead rails into the enormous plant building. When the equipment was finally delivered successfully, the relief on everyone's faces was impossible to hide. Months of preparation, days of non-stop work, and countless risks had finally come to an end. The giant machine now stood ready to become part of another massive power generation system. As for us, we packed up the tools, loaded the remaining equipment, and prepared to return to base. And by the time you're watching this story, we have probably already begun the next mission.